But we are certainly an enclave, dirt roads, lack of airports, and so on. We have established the world's largest free trade area, in theory, but we need to ensure connectivity between our regions and countries in order to tap the resources of our continent in the best possible way. This is the largest project on our continent. Infrastructure and energy are key to development. Russia is an industrialized country that has a lot of experience in energy, railways, motorways. I suppose that our partnership is not quite at the level that Africa and African countries and Russia merit, and we need additional effort to that effect. Here we are not speaking about assistance to development. We know how it goes on our continent. What we need is investment and mutual interest, as well as a certain level of convergence. I think all leaders of African countries are ready to work within such a partnership, work together under joint plans that will be implemented in full accordance with the schedule. Agriculture, food security. This is something we have spoken about a lot. 60% of agricultural lands that have not yet been used on Earth are in Africa. We have a lot of water and forests, but despite all that, we have yet to ensure enough food for ourselves. It is bizarre, and now we need to import less and organize a transfer of technologies to Africa. These technologies already exist, and in some areas we have already outlined future partnerships. Speaking of human resources, I have already mentioned healthcare and education, and thank you for mentioning that today. You have spoken about preparing human resources. When I came to Russia in 2021, I said to Minister Lavrov that most specialists in my country, physicists and mathematicians, learned from Russian professors in physics, chemistry, and mathematics. You cannot train an engineer if you don't have sufficient knowledge in physics or mathematics. This is the foundation of new technologies, and this is the area that matters a lot. And we need to train professors as well in order to pass this knowledge on. Lastly, security. Today, Africa is the place of operation of various terrorists and extremists, both in the north of Africa and in the Sahel, in the Horn of Africa, in the Great Lakes, and as far as in Mozambique. There are terrorist attacks, and it is a great challenge. In this regard, we need to strengthen our capacity. Today we speak a lot about African brigades in the east and in the south. We have our common forces, but we need to train them. We have United Nations missions operating on our continent, but this is costly and not exactly convenient. We have mentioned that at the Security Council, but the issue remains unresolved. Therefore, with the assistance of our friends and with our own effort, we try to resolve security issues. And I believe that Russia can play a great role in this. Your Excellencies, Mr. President, I have tried to outline main aspects of our cooperation. Probably our colleagues will add something on. Thank you.
Thank you. It always gives me great pleasure, and it is also very interesting to listen to Mr. Mahamat, because he knows how to broach the most important subjects, and he does that in a very concrete, very substantial manner. I've already introduced a colleague of mine to you. He is the chairman of the College of the Eurasian Economic Commission, Mr. Masnikovich. Over to you, Mr. Masnikovich. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, from the outset, I would like to thank the Russian Federation for organizing the second summit Russia-Africa at the highest level, as well as the forum Africa-Russia. I believe this is a very important, very apt event. There's something I would like to point out today. First, Eurasia and Africa's integration associations have the same goals in terms of developing the integration processes, and this is very important because these principles have been enshrined in our program documents. I'm talking about the strategy for the Eurasian Economic Union until 2022, and also I refer to Agenda 2063 adopted by Africa. Internal unity, greater welfare for the citizens, as well as greater competitiveness for the economy of member states. These are these principles. In order to implement these principles in the Eurasian Economic Union, we are making real strides towards ensuring freedom of movement for goods, people, labor, and capital. President Putin has suggested adding another freedom to that, namely freedom of knowledge. And in this particular situation, we believe this is very important. And this has been acknowledged by our colleagues. A couple of words about the Eurasian Economic Union. It is making headway successfully despite some difficulties. Last year we had a record increase of 21%. And also 14% increase in internal trade. This year, our mutual trade has grown by another 17%. In 2023, we expect our economy to have grown by more than 2%. According to experts, the internal market of the Eurasian Economic Union is fully provided for with wheat, milk, and sugar, thanks to our internal producing capacities. Incidentally, in 2022, the Eurasian Union members exported dozens of thousands of tons of wheat, sugar, and meat, 100,000 tons of milk and dairy products. I'm telling you that because there are huge potential opportunities for trading in these goods with our partners from Africa, and the same goes for the industrial products. Secondly, we are developing our cooperation very successfully. We have also enshrined our strategies for developing ties with the African integration communities, in particular with COMESA. We are also working on documents with the East African community as well as with ECAS. But we need practical steps in order for these programs to become reality. And that is why at the final stage, Your Excellencies, we are currently at the final stage in our talks with Egypt on setting up an FTA. Incidentally, August the 14th is the day for which the College of the Eurasian Economic Commission that I'm currently chairing has scheduled to hold the 6th round of talks in Moscow on this particular issue. Why am I drawing your attention to these practical matters? The thing is, the member states of the Eurasian Economic Union view comprehensive cooperation with Egypt as key to developing partner relations with African countries as a whole, because we have set up a certain infrastructure, and this has already been mentioned. We have the Russian industrial zone in Egypt, and we also have plans for serious development for that zone. So amid this conditions, against this backdrop, colleagues, we would like to ask you to give, through integration associations in Africa, to give signals to your business communities to work actively or more actively with the Eurasian Economic Communion. We have already given the necessary incentives to our businesses. Third, in 20 2022, our trade grew by 3.5%. This is not that big of a figure given the steps we've been taken, but still, right now, within the first months of this year, we are registering a 15% growth, and this is a very good figure, and this is the pace we have to be moving at. I would like to thank our African partners for that. The prospects for developing our ties are very good, and another avenue for such cooperation is joint projects, concrete joint projects, and this is something I would like to dwell on. Indeed, Russian companies are currently constructing a nuclear power plant in Egypt. Rosatom is also doing that, and also Russian oil companies are searching for oil. Bauxites are being developed. Belarusian tractors are constructed. Egypt has a joint Belarusian-Egyptian joint venture on trucks and lorries. This is a very good project, and also another interesting project is the agricultural program between Zimbabwe and Belarus. Last year, for the first time in 50 years, there were record crops of wheat, which was almost enough to fully satisfy internal demand in Zimbabwe in wheat. We intend to upscale our cooperation, and the Eurasian Union companies have chances to increase supplies of machines, tractors, trucks, as well as high-tech for mining, for processing natural resources, and this is what my previous colleagues have spoken about, and this is a very big area yet untapped, and business can grow there. I would also like to point out that I'm not just talking about trade, but also about transfer of technology. The production of localized production capacities, training of professionals, scientific education programs, export of information and communication technologies. This is what we can do. These are the areas we can work on, and we've got the necessary competences. We also have the expertise of setting up joint projects in all of these areas. I believe such an approach will allow us to increase the efficiency of the African economy. It will also create new, highly qualified jobs. In other words, the social function is going to be performed as well. But of course, what we need is more efficient incentivizing mechanisms for project-based cooperation. In order to work on this matter, we suggest organizing a Eurasian business mission under the aegis of the Eurasian Economic Commission, as well as the Business Council of the Eurasian Economic Council. Currently, the Russian Union of Industrialists and Entrepreneurs, and Mr. Shokin in particular, chairing this board, so we can organize a mission to African countries under the theme Russian Technologies for Joint Common Future. So I would like to ask the President and you, Your Excellencies, to support this project. We will work together with our African friends on other projects, as well as for the sake of a just and successful future. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Masnikovich. I believe that this is a very good overview